from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 4, Chapter 9, Text 11. We have been reading the purport to Text 11 by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So we continue reading it. Where Dhruva Maharaj, he has been praying that he wants to sing and hear and chant the glories of the Lord in the association of your devotees. A Mayavadi philosopher may question us. You may be very happy in the association of devotees, but what is your plan for crossing the ocean of material existence? Dhruv Maharaj's answer is that it is not very difficult. He clearly says that this ocean can be crossed very easily if one simply becomes mad to hear the glories of the Lord. So Krishna, he says in the Bhagavad Gita that Devi hi esha gunamai mam maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. This divine energy of mine is very difficult to overcome. Divine energy of mind consisting of three modes of material nature. So it's not easy to cross this material ocean because the three modes are binding us. They've how a prisoner is bound by chains. So we are bound by these ropes, these gunas. But then Krishna says, one who surrenders unto me very easily can cross beyond it. And here Dhruva Maharaj is saying the same thing, that one, he is now the pure devotee. What he does, he just simply wants to hear the glories of the Lord. When we love someone, then we like to speak about them. We like to say, oh, he or she does this and does that. Recount their good qualities. Remember, speak to everyone about the good things they do or the great things they do. Similarly, pure devotee, because he loves Krishna so much, he's always hearing and chanting about Krishna. And this very what do we say? This desire of the devotee to hear and chant. This is what Dhruv Maharaj is saying, that he can very easily cross this material ocean. Bhavad Guna Katha. For anyone who persistently engages in hearing the topics of the Lord from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Caitaniya Caritamita, and who is actually addicted to this process, just as one becomes addicted to intoxicants, it is very easy to cross the nations of material existence. So crossing the ocean of material existence, that means liberation. So we are striving for liberation. And here Dhruv Maharaj is giving us a very easy way of how to get liberated. He's saying just simply continue to hear from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Caitanya Caritamrita. Of course, that's Srila Prabhupada is putting Caitanya Caritamrita. But same what Dhruv Maharaj is saying, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out the same thing. That we get addicted to so many things. We get habituated to doing so many things. But if somehow or the other we can get habituated, we can get addicted to hearing and chanting about the Lord, then this very same habit can help us get out of the material world. Habits, habits sometimes can be very binding. They can bind us to this material world. But this habit of hearing and chanting about the Lord can take us out of the material world. The ocean of material nations is compared to a blazing fire. But to a devotee, this blazing fire is insignificant because he's completely absorbed in devotional service. So the material world is full of miseries. Mahadavagni. It's like a forest fire. There's miseries at every moment. At every moment, every living entity is inflicted by either one of the three miseries, either by their own body and mind, by other living entities, or by material nature. Yesterday, thankfully, the earthquake was not very big. So there's something or the other. There's something. We are just coming out of the pandemic, 2 years. Material nature, miseries are there. So in this material world, has to be. That's the nature of the material world. But the pure devotee, he does not feel these miseries. Why? Because his consciousness is completely absorbed in hearing and chanting about Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Susukham kartam avyayam, that this devotional service is joyfully performed, is blissfully performed. The pure devotee is always in joy, always blissful. Krishna is the origin of all happiness. All the happiness comes from him. So pure devotee is constantly associating with Krishna by hearing and chanting about him. So of course he's going to be constantly happy. He's never morose. So although the material world is a blazing fire to a devotee, it appears full of pleasure. Vishwam Purna Sukhyate. Sukhayate. The purport of this statement by Dhruva Maharaj is that devotional service in the association of devotees is the cause of development of further devotional service. Prabhupada was once asked by a reporter, what are you going to get by chanting Hare Krishna? Prabhupada said, more chanting. More chanting. It's not that once we get liberated, then we don't do anything. We sleep, or we think we have become Krishna, or other people are singing, or what do we say, singing our glories instead. No. Even in the spiritual world means liberation, no? So even in the spiritual world, what is everyone doing? Everyone is talking about Krishna. Oh, Krishna did this wonderful pastime today. Oh, he's wearing this. He's looking so beautiful. There's no envy of Krishna. Everyone's object of love is Krishna. So what Dhruva Maharaj is saying, by association of in the association of devotees, what we are going to do? Devotional service. Because that's what the devotee does. Association. Like we have different associations, right? Somebody, like, for example, football. People like to play football. So they'll get together. What are they going to do? They'll play football. Some people will get together and maybe uh, have a reading club because they like to read. So they're going to read together. Then some people who like to drink, maybe they'll get together and drink. So the association of devotees. What is a devotee always doing? Engaging in devotional service. And what are we going to get if we associate with the pure devotees? More devotional service. Pure devotional service. By devotional service only is one elevated to the transcendental planet Golok Vrindavan. And there also, there is only devotional service. For the activities of devotional service, both in this world and in the spiritual world, are one and the same. So pure devotional service, the devotee in this material world is liberated, is a Jivan Mukta, although he may be in a material body, but his activities, what is he doing? His activities are completely on the liberated platform, spiritual activities. That's what the spirit soul does. It's not that the spirit soul is sleeping. No, the spirit soul dharma of every soul is to serve, always serving. So the pure devotee, what is he doing? He is engaged in devotional service. By this devotional service, he gets eligible to go to Golok Vrindavan, where he continues to engage in devotional service. Devotional service does not change. The example of a mango can be given here. If one gets an unripe mango, it is still a mango. And when it is ripe, it remains the same mango, but it has become more tasteful and relishable. So we cannot say a green mango is not a mango, right? But of course, we don't like to eat green mango so much. We want to eat the golden, juicy, ripe, fragrant mango. But it's still a mango. So similarly, there is devotional service performed according to the direction of the spiritual master and the injunctions and regulative principles of Shastra. And there is devotional service in the spiritual world rendered directly in association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they are both the same. There is no change. The difference is that one stage is unripe and the other is ripe and more relishable. It is possible to mature in devotional service only in the association of devotees. So, in the association of devotees, we engage in devotional service. We continue engaging in devotional service. And we go back home, back to Godhead. And what do? We engage in devotional service personally in association with Krishna. And Prabhupada is clearly pointing out the devotional service here in the material world or in the spiritual world is the same. Only one is like an unripe mango, when other is like a ripe mango. And how we have to let the unripe mango become ripe means our devotional service, which we are doing at our level. And how can we let it become pure devotional service? Association of devotees. Is that okay? So we can see that any activity we do in devotional service, that's why it's never lost. Never lost. How much ever we do in this life, we are going to begin from that point in the next. It's not a waste of time. In fact, this is the best investment of our time. We're always saying, oh, what is the best investment? So the best investment of our time is to engage in devotional service. Is that all right?
Yes.
Tena smaranti atitaram priyamisyamartyam.
Tena smaranti atitaram priyam
Ye chanva adaha sutasured griha vitadhara.
ye cha anu adsut surat graha vitdhara
Ye tva abjanabha bhavadiya padaravinda.
ye tu abjunabha bhavadiye padarvinda
Saugandhya lupta hridaye shukrita prasanga.
saugandhyalupta hridayeshu.
Hridayeshu krita prasanga.
O Lord, who have a lotus navel, if a person happens to associate with a devotee whose heart always hankers after your lotus feet, seeking always their fragrance, he is never attached to the material body or in a bodily relationship to offspring, friends, home, wealth, and wife, which are very dear to materialistic persons. Indeed, he does not care for them. A special advantage in devotional service is that devotees not only enjoy the transcendental pastimes of the Lord by hearing and chanting and glorifying them, but also are not very much attached to their bodies, unlike the yogis who are too attached to the body and who think that by performing bodily gymnastic exercises, they will advance in spiritual consciousness. So Dhruv Maharaj is saying that by association of devotees, what we can do is we can enjoy transcendental pleasure of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. And then here Prabhupada is pointing out that yes, the devotee is experiencing this transcendental pleasure, but the yogi, he's unable to do so. The yogi, he's attached to the body because he is thinking, if we get attached to getting the Ashta Siddhi, the 8 mystic perfections, that is also because we are attached to the body. Yogis are generally not very much interested in devotional service. They want to regulate the breathing process. This is simply a bodily concern. Here, Dhruv Maharaj plainly says that the devotee has no more bodily interest. He knows that he is not the body. Therefore, from the very beginning, without wasting time in bodily exercises, the devotee searches out a pure devotee and simply by his association, becomes more advanced in spiritual consciousness than any yogi. So a devotee, but it does not mean that he does not maintain his body. We can't take things radically, you know. We are in the body, so we need to maintain it. We need to take care of it, feed it, do whatever exercises we need to do to maintain it. Why? So that we can engage in devotional service. This is what the devotee does. He maintains the body so that he can engage in devotional service. So here Prabhupada is pointing out that in association of pure devotee, simply by associating, one becomes advanced in spiritual consciousness. So we don't need to, you know, do all the meditation and dharana, pratyahar, all that. It's not recommended for us in this age. We do not have that capacity. But if we can associate with a pure devotee, then we can make spiritual advancement. Because a devotee knows that he is not the body, he's never affected by bodily happiness or distress. He's not interested in bodily relationships with wife, children, home, bank balance, etc., or in the distress and happiness which comes from these things. So we should not artificially try to imitate a pure devotee and say, okay, well, this is what a devotee does, so I'm going to neglect my family. No, we can't imitate. We should not imitate. Whatever is our duties, we do our duties and we associate with the devotees. We may be completely attached, we may be too attached. But what do? We try to associate with the devotees and hear and chant in the association of devotees. So this is the special advantage of being a devotee. This status of life is possible only when a person is interested in associating with a pure devotee who always enjoys the fragrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. And so what is the pure devotee? His consciousness? He's in samadhi. What is the end of the yogic process, samadhi, right? That's the ultimate. Here, the devotee, first he fixes his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, and then he engages in devotional service. And in that, he is experiencing the highest happiness. Like Dhruva Maharaj was saying, that he experiencing the happiness higher than being in the Brahmajyoti, higher than being in any heavenly planet. That is the happiness of devotional service, the highest happiness. Tiryan nagadvija sarishrapadeva daitya
Nagdvej Sarisrap Devdaitya
Aditya
martyadibihi parichitam sadasad vishesham
Maria
Parichitam Sat Vishesham
rupam sthavishtam ajate mahadadi anekam
Rupam Savishtam Ajate Mahat Adi Anekam
nata paramparama vedmi na yatra vadaha.
Nata Parama Vedmi Na Yatra Vadaha
Na At Paramam Vedina Yatra Vadaha.
My dear Lord, O Supreme Unborn, I know that the different varieties of living entities, such as animals, trees, birds, reptiles, demigods, and human beings, are spread throughout the universe, which is caused by the total material energy. And I know that they are sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. But I have never experienced the supreme form I behold as I see you now. Now, all kinds of methods of theorizing have come to an end. You know, all our knowledge, Vedanta, what is the goal of, who is, when we come to the end of knowledge, what is that when we come to Krishna? All research work ends when we come to Krishna. Till the time we don't come to Krishna, we're always doing so much research. And Dhruva Maharaj is saying this now. All kinds of methods have come to an end because now I'm seeing you. Vedanta, end of all knowledge, end of all research, is Krishna. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. And Dhruva Maharaj is saying, so Dhruva Maharaj is saying that living entities, we are changing different forms, sometimes demigods, animals, plants, reptiles, all these bodies. The bodies are given to us by material energy. But the living entity, of course, we are part and parcel of Krishna. So, but he's saying, I've never seen your form. I've never experienced the supreme form that I'm seeing now. He's showing us there's a difference between our form here, the material form, and Krishna's form. It's not material. The form of the Lord that he's seeing, it's a transcendental form. And here Dhruva Maharaj is saying that to us. He's seeing it and he's telling us. So this is how we can accept knowledge, because he's seeing the Lord and he's saying these words. So he's an authority. We have to accept from authority. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he has spread himself throughout the universe, but although everything is resting upon him, he's aloof. The same concept is expressed here by Dhruva Maharaj. He states that before seeing the transcendental form of the Lord, he had experienced only the varieties of material forms, which are counted at 8,400,000 species of aquatics, birds, beasts, etc. The fact is that unless one engages in the devotional service of the Lord, it is impossible to understand the ultimate form of the Lord. It's only by devotional service that we can understand God. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Factual understanding of the absolute truth. Who is the Supreme Person? Cannot be obtained by any process other than devotional service. So if we want to really understand God, we want to understand who is the absolute truth, what is the absolute truth, who is God, we have to engage in devotional service. Without engaging in devotional service, we will just be mentally speculating. It will be just a belief, an idea, but not the fact, factual understanding. So the Prabhupada's words, he uses very particular words. If we want to actually, for a fact, no, we have to engage in devotional service. Dhruva Maharaj here compares his previous state of understanding with the perfection of understanding in the presence of the Supreme Lord. The position of a living entity is to render service. Unless he comes to the stage of appreciating the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he engages in the service of the various forms of trees, reptiles, animals, men, demigods, etc. So if we analyze what we are doing the whole day, we think we are enjoying, we are the masters and controller. That is in our head, that's in our mind. But what do we actually do? Actually, we are always serving. We are serving maybe our pet, maybe our parents, our spouse, our children, our boss, our employees, our whoever, friends. We are actually serving. Now, until unless we understand that the person we have to actually serve is Krishna, we are going to be continuing serving these others. Why? Because it's the nature of the soul to always serve. So we have to come to the point to understand that we actually should be serving Krishna. Then automatically we are serving everyone else. Like watering the root of a tree. If we pour water to the tree root, automatically the entire tree becomes green. But we are trying to individually serve some living entities, particular living entities. One can experience that a man engages in the service of a dog, another serves plants and creepers, another the demigods, and another humanity, or his boss in the office. But no one is engaged in the service of Krishna. Aside from common men, even men who are elevated in terms of spiritual understanding are at the most engaged in the service of the Virat Rupa. So Prabhupada is pointing out we are all engaged in serving material nature, but not engaged in service of Krishna. Then he's saying maybe there is someone who is engaged, who has a higher understanding of spiritual understanding. Thinking of the material energy, the universe, so to worship the universe like that. But unable to understand the ultimate form of the Lord, they worship voidism by meditation. Dhruva Maharaj, however, had been blessed by the Supreme Lord. When the Lord touched his conch shell to Dhruva's forehead, real knowledge was revealed from within, and Dhruva could understand the Lord's transcendental form. Krishna says, to those who are constantly devoted to serving him with love, he gives the understanding by which they can come to him. Krishna within the heart, he is in our heart. And he gives us the understanding of how we can know him. He reveals himself to us. Same, this is what he's doing to Dhruva Maharaj. He touched the conch shell on Dhruva Maharaj's head, and Dhruva Maharaj has gotten this, the revelation. Dhruva Maharaj, he admits that not only was he ignorant, but by years he was only a child. It would not have been possible for an ignorant child to appreciate the supreme form of the Lord had he not been blessed by the Lord, who had touched his conch shell to Dhruva's forehead. So it's by the mercy of the Lord that we can understand the Lord. Mam eva ye prapadyante tams tatheva bhajami aham. Krishna says that those who surrender to him, as one surrenders to him, he rewards us accordingly. So we continue to hear and chant in the association of devotees. This is what Dhruva Maharaj is telling us. He's an authority, so we follow him. Is that okay?
Yes. That part that worship voidism means no form or
Yeah.
light. Or
Zero.
light. Zero.
Many people say, no, everything is zero. There's nothing. Voidism is that.
How do they worship voidism?
Like, some people, they believe that actually there is nothing. After death, it's just a black hole. There's nothing there. There's some sort of spiritual groups which actually believe that. So that is what Prabhupada is pointing out. Yeah. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.